welcome to Radio Zindagi. मैं हूं आपके साथ में ईरा and welcome to this brand new show Confessions of the Futurist with Sanjiv Goyal. We are live on Radio Zindagi 1170 AM and also on Radio Zindagi Facebook page. You can view this conversation over there. Log on to Facebook, go to Radio Zindagi page and watch this conversation over there and let us know what you think. You can also leave your questions and comments in the comments section. Sanjiv, welcome to the show. Thank you, to get started with this. Thank you for doing this show and bringing such prominent personalities to the platform.
Thank you very much for inviting me and having me start this show. So without further delay, I want to talk about our guest we have today. Naveen Jain, CEO of Viome. He doesn't need any introduction. Phenomenal friend and human being. And I call him a maverick. And, there are some people are crazy, but some people are crazy good. So Naveen is one of those. And he built an amazing, successful company, actually several of those. But the biggest reason I invited him is his latest startup, Viome. What he's trying to do is he's going to make illness optional. So let's talk to him. Let's bring Naveen and ask him what that means, because I'm still confused with illness optional mindset. So Naveen, can you tell our audience what that means?
Well, first of all, Sanjeev, before I start, I just want to thank you for starting this amazing show. The idea of making illness optional is really simple. I mean, less than 20% of the diseases are something that are actually built into our DNA. And 80% of everything that we suffer from actually comes from our lifestyle. So if you think about it, you're not born to be obese. You're not born to have diabetes or heart attack or autoimmune diseases or depression or anxiety or cancers. Right? All of these things are actually not only preventable, but also reversible. And that was the fundamental belief, was that our DNA or our genes are not our destiny. Our genes don't define who we are. And somehow we have been led to believe that you are born to be a person that you are. Your genes are your destiny. What it turns out is your genes are not your destiny. Your gene expression controls who you become, and your gene expression actually can be modulated with a proper diet and nutrition. Now we talk about the gut microbiome as if that, suddenly we have a science, we invented this gut microbiome. 2,500 years ago, Hippocrates said, all diseases begin in the gut, right? Let food be thy medicine, let thy medicine be the food. And we always knew that one man's food is another man's poison. And suddenly now we talk about making illness optional as if something new we have invented. The fact is that humanity has been making illness optional by actually eating the herbs and the things from our own past. I mean, if you go back and look at Ayurveda, there is tremendous amount of knowledge about Ayurvedic medicine. And people have been taking these herbs and stuff, curcumin, that's part of the Indian culture. It is something that we know. What happens when you take curcumin? We actually are making illness optional. That means we are taking action that takes away the disease from happening. And that's really what I meant was, so just to restart on this thing, we didn't say, Viome, we want to build a company that eliminates chronic diseases. Because we could have said, Viome, our mission is to create a world where disease is eliminated. We didn't say that, because that shows we have the power to do so. By saying, Viome, imagine living in a world where illness is optional. What that means is we can tell you what's happening in your body. We can tell you what foods you should eat and why. We can tell you what foods you should avoid and why. What are the nutrients that your body is lacking? And we can make those specific ingredients in a specific dosage for you. And choice is yours. You can say, I'm sorry, you're telling me to avoid a bell pepper or spinach. I am sorry, I'm going to eat them. That is illness is optional.
Well, you have my data. I read that report and it's a phenomenal report. I love it. So Naveen, I specifically picked the title of the show for a very special purpose. A lot of time when we bring guests, and I brought a lot of phenomenal guests in past, we talked about how they become so big, how they are so amazing, but we never talked about their failures. And Silicon Valley, not many people know outside Silicon Valley, we are built on failures, not on successes, which people don't realize how many failures successful entrepreneurs have and how they got here. So question I have for you is, can you share or can you confess when you were wrong?
I think we need to redefine what success is, and we need to redefine what failure is. An idea that you have may or may not work. And every idea that does not work is simply a stepping stone to a different idea and a bigger idea. You only fail in life when you give up. Everything else is just a pivot, right? So we pivot. And one thing I realized, having done now 7 companies, the life of an entrepreneur is no different than just being alive. How do we know when you are alive? Is when we have a heartbeat. And most people forget what heartbeat looks like. It goes up and down and up and down, right? When you have a smooth line, you are dead. And why do you believe an entrepreneur would ever have a smooth life? Because that means you're living a dead life. So if you want to live a dead life of a dead person, you want a smooth life. If you want to live a life of an adventure, if you want to live a life that is going to be meaningful, if you want to live a life that is going to fundamentally change the trajectory of billions of people, how they live, it's going to have a life, and that life is going to be up and down. And when you are down, all you have to do is hunker down and stick together, knowing that next beat is going to be up. And when you are on top of that beat, never get too cocky, because always remember, winter is coming and winter shall come and you will go down. And that's the point we have to always remember, is that life is full of up and downs. You have to accept them and you have to expect them. And that is the beauty, is expecting it is going to happen and accepting when it happens. And that to me is really living life.
So I have an interesting question for you, because I remember that.
Yeah.
When we met first time, we started talking about InfoSpace. And we talked about the first company which became multi-billion-dollar company, and that technically made Naveen Jain. I remember that story of how the business model was born. So can you share the story when the business model was born of InfoSpace?
In the early days of the internet, there was no business model. Nobody understood how companies are going to make money. And you had these search engines, Lycos and Excite. You go there and you type and you find information. And the better they were, the faster you left the site. And they were thinking, like, how can you build a company the minute it gets better, the faster you leave? Until people figured out they can start to put more content. And that came out of simple desperation of not trying to how to make money. Then people figured out they can put ads on top of the search engines. And that in the beginning, I can remember still, people say, oh my God, if you put on the ads on top of the search engine, isn't that corrupting the beauty and the idea of how beautiful this search engine is that finds you the right website rather than people who are paying you for it, right? And all these things came about because sheer desperation of trying to find it. And I think every company goes through that. In fact, I would say that every single successful company you look at today have gone through a near-death experience, right? Look at Facebook. Facebook went through a near-death experience.
Several
Twitter,
times.
in fact, several times. Twitter went down before they pivoted to become Twitter, right? Now, if you look at Amazon, literally the stock was down to under $5. People thought the company was going to go bankrupt and became the most valuable company in the world, right?
Absolutely.
You look at Oracle, you look at Microsoft. Every company has gone through these ups and downs, and in fact, this near-death experience.
So Naveen, it's a short show, so I wanted to definitely provide a little more value to our audience.
Yeah.
So I'm working on this book. Actually, it's already it's ready to be published. And I talked about 7 layers to be successful as an entrepreneur and what makes an entrepreneur a meta entrepreneur. And I stress a lot about 2 specific things. One is curiosity, second is faith. So question I have for you is, what role faith has played in your life, and what message do you have for our audience so they, when they go home, they take something with them?
Sure. So I would change that. And again, I would say it is really the mindset,
Mhm.
a mindset instead of a faith that really plays the biggest role in what you become in life. And
Mhm.
the mindset is that two people can look at the identical things that are happening, identical event, and come up with a completely new outcome of what that means to them. One
Yeah.
person will look at that event and say, oh my God, the life is ending. Other person say, what an amazing opportunity just got created, right?
Yeah.
And that is literally the mindset that happens. And I think the mindset comes in many different ways. Mindset is this idea of things are scarce. And I think, if someday we should talk about the mindset of scarcity that actually limits you to what you can do versus creating this mindset of abundance where everything is possible. So once you create this mindset of possibilities, mindset of what can happen, mindset of what if and imagine are two most powerful words if you can use them the right way. Imagine a world, and now I can tell you whatever that is, your mind is so open to listening to the possibility. So if I say, Sanjeev, imagine a world, now I can say, imagine a world where illness is optional. Imagine a world where no old person is dying. Imagine a world where your grandmother is still alive. Imagine a world where uncle did not lose their memory. Imagine a world where loved one didn't die from cancer. All that thing, now people say, oh my God, how do I create that world? And the more vividly you can describe that world, the easier it becomes to create it.
Completely agree. And we talked in our previous conversation specifically about impact, because once we focus on impact of what we are trying to do or what an entrepreneur is trying to do, and entrepreneurship, we both know, is not about going and creating a billion-dollar company. To me, entrepreneurship is just taking ownership.
Entrepreneurs are this specific breed. They actually go out and do it. So problem solvers, people who go out and actually do something, are true entrepreneurs. And to me, you can be an entrepreneur, whatever you do in your life, whether you're inside the company, whether anything else, you can be that entrepreneur.
My heart goes out to the people who are suffering and who has suffered because of COVID, especially a lot of businesses. Uh, However, if we look back, just imagine something like that happening 30 years ago. Our world would have collapsed because of the technology, because of the entrepreneurs, because of every single person united together. Our banking system didn't fail, our electricity system didn't fail, our infrastructure didn't fail. We continue to work, continue to do something. And that is the biggest reason I believe we came out of this, and we are going to come out of it very, very quickly. So when we talk about
And in fact,
entrepreneurship,
strongly.
yeah, strongly, I
Strongly. I
completely,
mean, I honestly think like
we are
our
fixing
company
problems.
grew. That's my point. My point, we grew 3x during this time. We launched 3 new products during this time because it allowed us to rethink what is possible. It allowed us to see the amount of broken infrastructure the healthcare has. And we thought, if healthcare is this broken, why can't we go out and completely fix it, so where we can bring the future of healthcare should be at home, not at the hospital. The future of medicine should be coming from farm, not pharmacy. And
Exactly.
to me, right, and that's literally at Viome, we really believe not only we can make illness optional, we can actually deliver on that promise by actually giving you the actionable thing today. So if anyone who is listening to it, they should really go out and see what is possible. So go out at
I mean, not
viome.com
just
and look at.
that. If let's talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Today, I haven't seen any event like what happened in last 12 months, that countries, private organizations, institutions, investors, every single person join hands. Even the competitors are building the vaccines together. They're sharing the data. And this is what we used to talk about. Oh, we are going to have a connected world. This is the first time I never thought I will witness this kind of connection where I can pick up the phone today and I can call India's PMO office and I say, hey, I want a connection with the scientific advisor, principal scientific advisor. I need him to advise me on this. Absolutely no problem. And that kind of collaboration never ever happened. And COVID has created that infrastructure for us. So today, We all can do things at the global scale. And the things you used to talk about, impacting billion lives, which become this my own slogan, like if anything we are doing, let's talk about impacting billion lives. How can we do that? We have the infrastructure. All the 23 IITs are ready to join hands. Anybody who wants to work with us, we are open. Whether it is United States, our Karma Bhumi, we are ready to work with every single entrepreneur or wannabe entrepreneur and help him become whatever he wants to do. And that wasn't possible until, even last March. Do you agree with that?
Well, honestly, the technology has always been there. It is just that somehow we got exposed to it now in a way. So it's not like suddenly they got invented. These technologies have been around. And in fact, being in any part of the world now, you have access to the same resources, access to the same financial resources, access to the same people resources where you can go out and make it happen.
Our show is about to end. So before we end, I want to thank you, Naveen. And I want to tell all our audience. So Naveen, what is your Instagram handle so our audience can follow you?
Honestly, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on LinkedIn, or you can find me, go to viome.com and you can reach out to me there.
And can they send you messages and ask questions from you?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Anytime, I'm always available. Send me a direct message on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook. I'll always answer them.
Any final parting thought for our audience?
I just said, just dream big and always know that everything is possible. It takes one single person to change trajectory of how people live. Remember, Elon, one single person changed the things from fossil fuel cars to electrical cars. It is possible. It takes one person, not the rich person. You become rich by doing it. You don't start because you are rich. And I really hope that someone listening to it is going to go out and do something that's going to fundamentally change our lives.
We will do it, Naveen. Thank you very much, Naveen, for your time. I want to thank Radio Zindagi and Royces for this opportunity. I'm so excited, and next week we'll have a phenomenal guest. If you want to follow me, go to Instagram, official Sanjiv G. You can send me the message on LinkedIn and any other place. And I'm going to give a copy of my new book free. So if you send me a message on Instagram, on LinkedIn, the copy will be yours. Thank you. Thanks, Naveen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sanjeev.